I'm Different Says,
And I'm Normal Rockwell.
And I'm GhostMonster.
and we've got a special episode of Free Game.
Brooks, why is it a special episode?
Uh, I I honestly forgot why.
Oh, this is the yearly roundup.
Oh man, it's
You,
been it's been a busy year, you know.
I'm with you. Brooks, you know why it's a roundup, right?
Uh, why is it a roundup, Dave?
Because we'd never round down. Cue the music. All right, y'all. Well, thank you for joining us on this episode. Just to demonstrate our commitment to creativity, we have decided to do a top 10 list for the year, but not just a top 10 list, obviously, a top 10 list of pieces of art, artistic endeavors, and things that we've enjoyed this year. We did our best to keep it within 10. Needless to say, it could have been a very, very long list. Certainly, if we'd include, things that we've put out this year or things that our friends have put out this year. But we tried to keep it, with things that have sort of inspired us for the year. So this could be anything: comic books, anime. Single songs, individual artists, anything. So we tried to kind of keep it up, keep it loose, but share with you some of our favorite things. I like to refer to them as my most favoritist art things of the year because I have immaculate vernacular.
And I
Nice.
like to refer to it as my not pitchfork list because it is surprisingly completely deviating from that.
Yeah, I read the Pitchfork list, Brooks, and have maybe never felt older. So this is our list, and let's get to it. But before we do, I think we had at least one each runner up, honorable mention, or as I like to call it, an OLI, like an outside looking in. So let's get the 11th out of the way because everybody prefers a nice tidy top 10 list. Am I right, fellas? Who wants to go first? Billy, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with something a little bit mainstream. My OSLI for this year was, wait, is that not right?
I think outside might be one word, but do you want to use your honorable mention instead?
Yeah, sure. My is acronyms.
They're very artsy.
Yeah. Um, is is a bit of a mainstream game, but it's definitely been blown up this year. It is the game Path of Exile 2 by Grinding Gear Games coming out of New Zealand. Path of Exile 2 is the second iteration into their long-running series that they've been their Path of Exile series that they've been doing for about 12 years now. And these fine gents from New Zealand basically picked up the torch from classic games like Diablo 2 and even for the older school cats, Gauntlet. But it takes it up that notch, and I just thought it really brought it this year, and I've had a ton of fun playing it. If you just want to sit down at the couch, kick back, and smash some monsters, you can't have more fun than Path of Exile 2.
With that endorsement, I gotta wonder how it didn't crack your top 10. But
Yeah.
Brooks, you got an OLI or an honorable mention to share with us?
Yeah, I do. Going through it all, didn't quite make the list of the top 10 things, but I really enjoyed Aesop Rock's Black Hole Super Ed.
Yeah.
I thought it was a pretty solid album from front to back and really kept true to what Ace has done throughout his career of just dropping some hot bars on top of some dope
Hot
beats.
hot bars, grumpy MC.
Eh,
I wouldn't want it any other way.
I think he's aged with us.
Guys, I feel that. I feel that. And by the way, and thank you for keeping it cool. Thank you, because it doesn't always feel cool, but I could put on some Aesop Rock and be like, oh, okay, I'm doing okay. I'm doing it
Yeah.
right.
How about
Guys,
you, Dave?
yeah, yeah,
Do
I got one for sure. So outside looking in, incredible album again, just crowded list. The Cure came back, right? So, again, I am of an age that The Cure was like what older, cooler kids than I were already listening to. Always thought of them as a little, sort of mysterious. You get older and you realize like there's a commitment to beauty there, and there's some time taken off. You don't always know what you get when a band takes that type of time off, gets to that age, right? But man, like it's a stellar album, It's a stellar album, and I also really enjoyed the way it was released too, because they did a very small concert where they played the entire album, very very small, and kind of knowing that those tickets would be high price tickets, they leaned into that, but then also streamed it live on YouTube for free. So release the album, do the concert. It, it's a beautiful piece of work. Check it out if you're at all inclined. Check it out. All
awesome.
right, y'all. So that gets into the meat of it. Billy, I guess you'd be next. Like, what's the first thing? And guys, we've all agreed this is in no particular order. This isn't meant to be a ranking, right? But what is the first on your list for your top 10 most favoritist art things this year?
Well, I was watching my YouTube roundup thing that I guess it's a little button that says like things that you've watched a lot this year. And I actually had to bump something off my list, and this came in at the last minute, and I didn't mind bumping something else off because I felt this was so important, and I'd spent so much time on this particular YouTube channel. But later in my life, I've become a little more spiritual, a little more religious, and I ran across a great YouTube channel by the name of Pixel Padre, and he is a Catholic priest that plays a wider range of video games and then gives a very short form review of the game, around 10 minutes, but then follows up the review with how the themes of the game um, can connect to people's daily lives in some sort of way that a Catholic priest might actually give a sermon. And he doesn't shy away from violent games, from controversial games. Like he's given great reviews on like the Dark Souls series, Ninja Gaiden, and has spoken on like the violence and the blood and how much he actually loves those games. He's even as a Catholic priest, and people might think that he doesn't enjoy that kind of stuff, but it's even if you're not a Catholic or a Christian, I just feel like he was bringing something totally new and fresh into the video game essay review space that I hadn't seen before. And they're great reviews. And it actually makes me think a little bit about life, when you're out there touching grass and not playing games. So Pixel Padre was at the top of my list this year.
That's an incredibly 2025 concept to me, man. I don't know when the guy started, but I'm gonna go ahead and say like I didn't
2025.
have okay, I did not have Catholic priest reviews Dark Souls games on my bingo card. But that's a great shout, Billy.
Uh, so my second favorite list. I'll start with West Side Gun's 12 album. Now, it's a hard pick considering all the different albums that were released by Gunn this past year, and that one just stuck out to me front to back. Played it through, didn't hate a bit of it, and maybe maybe it's not all new and original, but West Side Gun just consistently brings it, and
He does him, man.
you
He
know,
does him. And it's not for everybody, but I gotta say I think that's one of the things I really enjoy about West Side Gun 2. I will forecast I don't have that one, but I do have his name on my list too. Um, Y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and take one off of my list and tell you season two of Peacemaker. I'm really liking what James Gunn is doing in the DC universe. I was not a Zack Snyder hater by any stretch. I certainly think when he got to his own cuts and was able to do it with his vision, as is often the case, I really enjoyed what he put up. Again, something that's not for everybody, but also kind of like picking a lane, right? Have a vision, pick a lane, do it your way. And I feel like as different as that is to what James Gunn does, I think that's a fair compliment that you could give James Gunn too. You watch something, you're like, that's a James Gunn movie. And, if you haven't seen a James Gunn TV show, like, please do check out Peacemaker. By the way, not sure there'd ever been a James Gunn TV show prior to that. It gets a little wonky with like what is and isn't canon, but put that to the side, man. I just think it's one of these things like where each actor was just immaculately chosen, right? Tim Meadows comes in and kills it, right? And I think my favorite character is like a computer graphic generated eagle named Eagly. So I'll say less. If you haven't seen the show, season one did not come out this year. Season two came out this year. So I'm not breaking any rules, but season two, Peacemaker, on my list. Highly recommended. Loved it.
I heard that Eagly was great in that. And when I went to watch it, I couldn't see Eagly. I like it. Maybe I'm bird blind.
Were you able to see? Were you able to see the main actor? Because there's been complaints people can't see him as well.
Was that Tim Meadows? Yeah, no, I saw him.
No, no. All right.
I was looking through my list here, and I'm not sure I followed up. You guys went from West Side Gun to James Gunn. I'm like, do I have any guns on here? Oh, damn.
hey. Some might say we came out guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
Okay, and apparently most people wouldn't. So,
I
Some
would
might.
say they are lists of high caliber.
So
well, it
yeah,
was worth a shot.
yeah.
Jeez.
Why don't you load up your next one in the chamber, Billy, and drop us the next on your list?
All
Yeah,
right.
I
Well,
was gonna say I'd squeeze one out, but that's a
yeah.
totally different joke.
Everybody knows I'm a fan of the Gouda. Like, you know, like I say, it ain't Gouda, man. It's brie time, baby. So I'm bringing a little bit of the cheese. Um, my top song for this year was by a K-pop band by the name of Blackpink. I'm an old school raver. Like I raved hard in the 90s. I raved a little bit in the early 2000s. I've always considered myself a city kid. And Blackpink's big single that came out this year called Jump really mixed in for me a cool hybridization of kind of that cheesy K-pop vocals with what felt like just an an all-time classic house anthem banger of like an instrumental like behind him. And I heard it and I was just like, these girls are getting down right now. So like I really like that song. And that was on my list, number 9 for this year.
Yeah,
If
you know,
if any of the Brooks, if any of the viewers thought we were just gonna do hip hop stuff, I hope
Yeah.
we fix that by this point.
uh, well, but I was no, you know, cheese makes a good sauce. I'm a big fan of the sauces, and Alchemist and Freddie Gibbs came in with a nice Alfredo 2 this year.
Oh, that segue, dog.
Fantastic
That
album.
segue.
Just uh favorite track on that album, probably Jean-Claude. Uh love the beat on it. Just Alchemist coming with that fire, and Freddie doesn't shy away from just laying it down either. So if you haven't checked it out yet, check out Jean-Claude off of Alfredo 2, or listen to the whole thing front to back, because you're not going to be disappointed at the end of it.
Dude, if rapping was a sport, like Freddie Gibbs would be a perennial all-star. Like absolutely. Like the guy, I mean, there's so many talented people, but honestly, like, you can have favorites, but are you sure they rap better than him? I'm not sure. All right, Joe. Well, the next one on my list, it's not like a singular thing. And again, remember, it's a most favoritist art thing. So we're going to take a little creative liberty here. But there's a guy by the name of Jason Pargin, and I don't even know if I'm saying his name right because I just always see it at the bottom of my video feed, right? So Pargin. Sometimes he says author Jason Pargin at the beginning of it, but he's a guy that I guess wrote a book. That book's been a movie. He's got a sequel, but I haven't bought any of his books. I haven't read any of his books. The dude does short form literary commentary, art commentary. Sometimes it's about a little tiny mundane thing that he notices and kind of riffs on a little bit. Sometimes it's about stuff that completely blows my mind. But he's added a lot to my year, and I just think if you want an example of the type of person that I want to have an amplified voice within social media, within TikTok and Reels and Shorts and whatever branded, it's all Vine. Let's be honest, it's all Vine. Just Vine was ahead of its time, right? Okay, but one particular one that I really liked, fellas, is he had this idea about how the Joker cracked him up, right? Batman, the Joker cracked him up because here's this guy that like stood for anarchy and yet had this organization that he ran like meticulously, including things like a dress code, right? Which implied that like there may have been someone like sent home for dress code violation because it's like it needs to be, right? And all of these like really like crazy like plots and stuff where it's like, dude, if you're not on time to drive the truck, like Batman's gonna catch me, right? So, like the type of like permits needed or like construction equipment or like it's just you get my point. But definitely check him out. Again, say stuff that goes much deeper, but please do check out Jason Pargin.
Billy, you want to hit us with the next one?
Yeah. Um, I'm a really big fan of the Predator series. I've watched every Predator movie several times. I've watched every crossover Predator movie. I read the comic for a while, and I was really surprised this year when the director of the most recent movie in the franchise, Prey, decided that he was going to do an animated uh, an animated movie that was going to link to the newest Predator movie, Badlands, that just recently came out in theaters. So my number 8 pick this year was Predator, Killer of Killers. And it was animated, and they were very upfront about this. If anybody out there is a fan of the animated series Arcane, they very much leaned into the Arcane style animation. The entire thing was animated in Unreal 5. It's got a very stylistic graphic look, and they actually, for all the animation heads out there, they actually animated on what's called on twos. So it looks a little bit more choppy, but it has more of the old school flavor of animation before everything started looking super slick and like 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
And it was a completely finally what was so refreshing about it. Not only was it stylistically cool, the first time Predator's ever been animated, but it was finally a different take than just like the predator coming to a planet and like somebody that's just a random person kind of like beating this intergalactic super badass. And it's an anthology series told in 3 parts, and it leads directly into Predator Badlands. So if you're interested in Predator at all and you were planning on seeing Predator Badlands, do not miss Killer of Killers. It was killer.
I like good verses, and in opposition to Billy's Predator pick, I'm going with Alien Earth as my next, top art piece from this past year. I thought going into an Alien TV show that maybe it'll start out hot with CGI or whatever, and then fall off in production value through the course of the show. But honestly, from the first episode to the last one, I felt like I was watching a good alien movie, and it was really fun waiting week after week to get some new developments. I look forward to next season when that comes out.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I heard good stuff about that, man. I didn't get very far in my watch, but I got far enough to kind of do one of those things where I was like, oh, this is good. I shouldn't watch it right now. I should watch it when I can really watch it. So I look forward to that. And with you putting it on the list, I think definitely gonna get to that one sooner
It
than later.
it is it is currently on the top of my must-see TV list right now as well. I've
Yeah.
heard
And that
nothing
is
but
a
good
Hulu
things.
show as well.
Hey y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and get a little bit more rock and roll up on the list and just name the artist name, and that is Fairy Baby. So I think maybe
Mm.
it's is it here? Can people see the name here? But Fairy Baby, look, this is one of these things where I'm gonna tell you. Uh, and, and at the risk of sounding like a hipster, I think some of the things she's dropped are still sort of my favorites, and those aren't from this year. She did drop an EP that is immaculate. It is immaculate. First LP came out this year, very very good. Right? It's one of those. I always hate being the hater where I'm like, this is amazing. It's just not as good as the old stuff. It's so good, y'all. It's so good. Check out anything from Fairy Baby, but look, if you haven't heard Fairy Baby, start with that EP. I think that thing is just it's just a perfect, quick piece of music. But who's gonna like this? First of all, I would say anybody with taste and two ears. But if I wanted to narrow it down in a little more fair way, I would say, if you're a fan of that post-punk Joy Division kind of sound, this lady out of Texas, man, she's killing it. So Fairy Baby for sure.
Definitely going to be checking that out.
Billy, I played you a little Fairy Baby. I think it's fair to say equal parts modern and nostalgia.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
it 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 didn't seem it's contemporary, but did not seem of this era. It seemed of
Yeah.
a yesteryear in a very,
Yeah.
very good way. Yeah.
In a good way. Yeah, man. Well, what's next on yours, man?
This one's going to be kind of short and sweet. I don't have much just because I don't want to describe too much into it, and it's kind of self-explanatory. But from world-renowned writer Mark Millar, uh, from stuff you might know him from The Kingsman or Kick-Ass,
Mm.
or like
Yes.
a
Yeah.
half a dozen of his other like super famous shows that just aren't coming to me right now. Uh, he collaborated with a good friend of mine this year by the name of Per Berg, to release a comic book called Vatican City. And the short and skinny of it is what if the clergy of Vatican City were actually a secret vampire society that were actually feeding on the inhabitants of Rome, and then when that realization happens, a huge war breaking out between the citizens of Italy and the clergy vampires of Rome. The art in it is very avant-garde. I know it's not to a lot of people's taste, but this guy was the artist was actually a Hollywood storyboard artist, and he draws very quick, kind of some people would say messy. Like the anatomy is not always like on point, but the paneling and the pacing is so perfect and so quick. Uh, it really gives off of a cinematic vibe that a lot of comic books are not able to. So that was actually my top comic book of the year. You should check it out. Vatican City by Herberg and Mark Millar.
Okay, that's on my list now. Any chance one of the characters in it reviews video games? No? Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I heard
Yeah.
that some of the
Oh.
Catholic priests are doing this.
No, but he was saying that the person he mentioned earlier didn't suck.
Yeah.
That's why he's on
Yes.
the
Yeah.
list.
Fair enough. Fair enough. By the way, Billy, all of that was sounding like pretty interesting until you said, "What if they were vampires?" And I was like, "Oh, it's a work of fiction."
All right, so next up on my list, I have the anime series Lazarus that came out in the last year. Uh, Now, I don't know if it was Billy or Dave. I think it was Billy that actually had taken some inspiration from this show and applied it to a graphic he had made for the label. And I was like, oh, well, what is this show you speak of? And so I went down the rabbit hole, as I'm apt to do, and fell right in, right? Like that show just it got me from the beginning. It's got that Cowboy Bebop feel to it. I mean, it takes place in the same universe,
And this, yep, yep. I was gonna say
and
there's a reason.
yeah, no, but I mean, like the art, everything. Like I'm a nostalgia person, and that was a big part of my teens, early 20s.
Mhm.
I don't know how old I was, but it was a lot of years ago at this point, and Lazarus brought me back there to where I didn't feel so old.
And if it makes anybody check out Cowboy Bebop, all the better too, because I did watch Lazarus with my youngest kiddo. Shout out to Kyle. We watched Lazarus and then took that as a prompt to watch Cowboy Bebop, and I got to tell you, holds up, absolutely holds up. So yeah, great. I think I think that would have been on my list too if I could have just figured out that we were going to do a top 20, maybe even a top 12. But that was a really, really good show. And I do want to also say, I don't think it requires member berries, right, for somebody to
Yeah,
really enjoy that one. If you haven't seen Cowboy Bebop, you start with Lazarus. I think you're gonna have a good time too.
I'd agree. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, let me get one in for my list then. I think it's my turn, and I'm gonna do a video game, man. I think probably the only video game I've got on here, and that is Marvel Rivals. Now, look, Marvel. I don't think technically came out this year, but as something that is a service-based game, and comes out with waves and new characters, and I tell you, big part of my year, man. This is one that I play with my three boys. This is one that I think will continue to sort of be a gift that keeps on giving. And what started off as I think fairly started off as something that people described as kind of an Overwatch ripoff, or at least heavily inspired by Overwatch. I think is fair to say. They have really started leaning into some very creative game mechanics. As of the filming of this episode, Deadpool has been announced. They're kind of playing around with how Deadpool is going to be categorized, like what role he's going to play, and done some teasing and stuff like that. But I got to tell you, where we are with video games, the idea that there is a free to play game where you don't feel like you're being cheaply monetized, and it's all transactional, and it's all pay to win, and all the characters are free, and there's crap tons of characters, and some are super obscure, and of course there's Spider-Man and Wolverine. I just don't know what's not to enjoy about that game. Unless like shooters or player versus player just isn't your thing, like cool. But I would say if you like hopping online, talking that talk, playing a creative shooter where it's not all the bullets just going straight, and like something like that. This is for me. This is a 10 out of 10. This is an all-time game, and is trending up.
Yeah. My kids
I,
had a lot of fun playing that too.
I
Yeah.
would say the standout part for Marvel Rivals for me is I always find it interesting when another country has a take on American pop culture.
Mm.
And the Marvel character designs are a very sacred part of our pop culture. And I was just completely blown away by China's take on all those iconic costume designs, from like Wolverine to Rocket Raccoon to
Hmm.
Storm, to like it was just again and again. Like there was some, I'm not gonna say they were all like bangers for me, but like just seeing a completely different culture do a take on something that is so precious to us. I thought they did an excellent job, and the art direction on that
You
game
can
is just
you can
10
sneak a
out of
little
10.
bit of haterade in, Billy. You didn't like the Hulk, right? Like there was I think there's one or two you thought were
I wasn't a fan of the Hulk just because it was kind of bland. I mean I felt that there was something a little more that they could do, and I think that they did with like a paid skin. And I think they kind of took the same route with Wolverine. I thought Wolverine's base skin was kind of bland, and I was just like, okay, I
yeah.
get it. People are going to want to play Wolverine, and they're going to pay the scratch to like get the cool Wolverine costume. Those were like the two that really stood out for me, where I was just like, yeah, no, this ain't
All right, before we hop onto the next item, we've got Hamilton Gordon coming in with his top list for the year. Thanks, Hamilton. We appreciate you joining us.
Yo, it's Ham. Top art shit of 2025, and I hope this isn't overly academic, but my first is going to be a YouTube channel, and it is the Fall of Civilizations podcast. Now, that doesn't seem inherently artsy, more history-like, but I fall asleep to it every night, and of recent, it has been inspiring me in many ways to, one, understand ancient civilizations and how they laid the groundwork for how we live today, which in its own right allows me to have perspective on my own time and place today. And that has been inspiring art and thoughts and music. Two is going to be an edX course, Harvard CS50X by David Milan. Best teacher I've ever experienced in the comp sci world. Done a bunch of coding, boot camps and lessons. Forgot most of what I learned because if it wasn't applying to what I was doing in a day in, day out basis, probably didn't have much effect on what I was doing. CS50X, really, really basic. How does your computer work? And as a tool, when it comes to me using a computer, both for my regular workday and for music, understanding, the principles of what's underneath the UI that I use allows me to connect on a deeper level with what I'm doing. Just a tool, a paintbrush in, your collection of tools to, make better music and understand it on a more academic, engineering level. I'm gonna stick right there with some audio hardware that's really been a game changer, which is Trinov Nova. Shout out to the Trinov team. We don't all live and work in super pristine, perfect spaces. I'm over here, trying to do my best with some panels and treat this room, but this is not a custom built studio from scratch. So get your room as flat as possible. Trinov Nova helps with the phase relationships. And the basic EQing of your speakers from your primary listening point to aid on top of, and most importantly with those phase and comb filtering relationships in the listening position. Acts as a monitor controller, bit expensive, probably my favorite piece of hardware that I purchased this year. So take a look at that if you want your mixes to translate. I'm gonna go 4 YouTube channel useful charts. I never thought I would love a channel that was literally watching charts emerge and be made. But again, world religions from an academic point of view, or the history of Christianity from an academic point of view, things that are not core to my day to day, but the understanding of them and understanding how others work and navigate the culture that we live, really important. And really interesting. So something that I just nerd out on a bunch of those, and I love just the beauty of the charts themselves. Just all of the vector graphics that he uses. Just awesome, beautiful charts. Watching them be made and learning something while you're doing it. 5th is going to be something from 2023 that I did not catch on to until this year, which is Fred Again's Tiny Desk and what he did, utilizing video from his friends to inspire sounds and take the audio from that video in creating his music. So showing that inspiration can come from anywhere, even the simplest places, and just a video like this with my voice and speaking and being able to manipulate that into something that creates something new. I thought that was really, really cool. I'd seen Pogo and some other people do that before, like remixing Disney videos using Ableton with those audio inputs. Fred did it in a different way. And something I really want to play with this year. That's really interesting. Got 2 honorable mentions, and I'll get out of here because I know I've taken my time giving this one. But a book, oldie but goodie, is A Short History of Nearly Everything by Bill Bryson. And I'm getting into A Short History of Nearly Everything 2.0. So Short History of Nearly Everything was kind of the history of every scientific creation and learning that we as humankind, from Big Bang until essentially, I think it was 1996, 1998, which is quite an interesting exploration. going through that. But there's obviously been quite a few updates from 1998 to 2025. So he just dropped this in 2025 with those relevant updates. So I'm excited to catch on with that. And one of my favorite, again, subject, if you told me in middle school, read this book about science and history, probably wouldn't be my jam. But just loved reading that. Was fascinating. My second honorable mention is going to be the YouTube channel 2 Minute Papers. 2 Minute Papers is basically just exploring white papers on the most interesting and relevant tech and AI and art, kind of where it all meets with digital media. So just in 2 minutes, with someone that's really excited about whatever scientific discoveries have happened in the week, in the month. It keeps me up to date and informed, and his enthusiasm kind of carries through into mine. So I hope that is of interest to somebody else, and that's my 5+2.
All right. Well, we're back. Billy, why don't you kick us off in the bottom half of the list with your next pick?
Well, I'm going to have to bring it back around because me and you shared something on our list this year. I'll add a little more context to it, but Lazarus also made my list this year. There's a reason why it felt so Cowboy Bebop-ish, just because this wasn't said. It was actually directed and written by the creator of Cowboy Bebop, and where I felt the Cowboy Bebop is my favorite television show of all time, full stop. I Lazarus made my top 10 for this year, but where I thought it actually elevated above Cowboy Bebop was in the martial arts choreography, which was brought to us by the director and martial arts choreographer from the John Wick series and Keanu Reeves' stunt double from the Matrix movies. Uh, it really brought it in that department. The story was great. And I mean, with Shinichiro Watanabe doing like a pulp crime show, like you just can't go wrong. So Lazarus was on my list too.
And stop me if I'm wrong, but I think the first TV show he's done where he said he would be open to a season two, right? It hasn't been guaranteed, it hasn't been, but my understanding is he very intentionally sort of left this one open to doing subsequent.
Yeah, because he's usually a very start and stop kind of guy. Like he doesn't do on running series. I think the longest he's ever done was a 2 season show, but even that one was planned from the beginning to be 2 seasons, which was Space Dandy. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, his other stuff that people might be familiar with, just to get you on that Lazarus tip, if you enjoyed Cowboy Bebop, Space Dandy, Samurai Champloo, same director, same writer, check out Lazarus.
Very cool.
I
Brooks, you got something
concur.
for us?
Yes, I do. Next up on my list is an artist that I found on Instagram.
Oh,
Really,
yeah.
really started to dig his work. Kept popping up as the algorithm does. But Will Blood does a very interesting style, and I'm sure we'll throw up some graphics here for the show. But I suggest go ahead and run the search in your Instagram app and look up Will Blood and follow, share his work. Give the man some props because it's really enjoyable.
Yeah, Brooks, you shared this with me and Billy a couple weeks back, I think. And I guess the one piece of advice I would have is if you're looking at something small format, really make sure to get in there and look because there's some detail. There's something he does with the interior structure that if you're just kind of looking, you're like, oh, that's like a familiar icon with a little texture. Like double check, make sure you pinch zoom if it's not immediate what that gentleman is doing with his work. Cool
Yeah,
stuff.
it is yeah, lots of detail and just the results are fantastic.
That
Hell yeah.
methodology, it made me want to do a piece in that style. Like, I mean, I've seen other people do that type of um, X-ray type methodology to a piece of artwork, but yeah, it made me want to try out doing something like that in that style after you showed it to me. Really great work.
Yeah,
My
Dave.
next one is my next one's a TV show, and it's always tricky when something hasn't finished, right? But I've got it pretty high, and I'm one of those people that weird analogy maybe, but if you're watching your favorite team play, right, and it's a triple overtime game, and the other team wins by like a last second buzzer, I still call that a good game, man. Maybe it didn't end the way I wanted, but I had a blast watching it, right? So for me, there's a show as of filming it today. For all I know, it ends whack, but Pluribus on Apple TV, right? So this is Rhea Seehorn that starred in Better Call Saul. It's Vince Gilligan that did Breaking Bad most famously and Better Call Saul. And the guy kind of had a style and a genre, and he hasn't let that style and genre go completely, but he also decided to do a sci-fi. And I'm going to call that a soft sci-fi because honestly, like there's not a lot of laser guns or spaceships. I would say there's zero laser guns and spaceships, but there has been an alien invasion. And if y'all don't know the premise, okay, there's been an alien invasion where they were able to kind of create like a perfect utopian hive mind of like all of us, all of us, but 11 people, right? And she's just like one of 11 people that like it didn't work on. And we don't really know why, but she also circumstantially is like an absolute hater. She's like a pessimist and she's like always mad at stuff. And it's just, it's delightful to me. I don't know that everybody would use that word, but it's also so well crafted. I mean, look, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but objectively, Breaking Bad is an incredible TV show, and this is a master craftsman, right? And I will tell you, it is that same level of care, but an exploration into something that quite literally like has never been done before. So even though it's not done yet, it's high up on my list, high up on my recommendations, and we're having a blast watching it here. So Pluribus, Apple TV.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna have to check that one out. I've read a lot of reviews, gotten, the feedback that's emanating from the zeitgeist and just hadn't had a chance to dive in yet, but maybe it's time.
Yeah,
I've been hearing a lot of movement about that show.
yeah.
Yeah. If you really enjoyed everything that you've heard so far, like on our first 5 things on our list, wait till you hear the bottom 5 on the next episode, part 2 of the free game 2025 roundup.
Roundup.
We know
See
how y'all
ya.
like to watch the bottom.